In this video, we'll go over all of the WoW news from the past week and try to compress it into a bite-sized video. The weekly event for this week is Warlords of Draenor Time Walking. For those of you who don't know, since this is a brand new time walking thing, the time walking vendor is located in your faction's Ashran hub, near the entrance to Ashran. Remember, time walking is a great time to gear up brand new alts, as you can buy a lot of cheap gear from the vendor that's around item level 350. The Legion Archaeology Biweekly for this week is still out of the frying pan, which awards the Wormy Tumpkins pet, which is a really good battle pet, so kind of worth doing if you don't want to buy one off the auction house. Players on the PTR discover that Mechagon will have a hard mode. Currently, in order to access the hard mode, players need to defeat the first 3 bosses while one of the other bosses is flying overhead it, which will drop down stuff during the fight, making it harder. And then they go on to the 4th hard boss. Currently, there is no rewards on the PTR for doing this, which means there might be more to the hard modes, or they just haven't implemented them yet. In classic WoW news, Blizzard did a stress test for the WoW Classic Beta last week, allowing a lot of people to get in for 1 day, but only allowing them to level up to 5. And a lot of people are angry they weren't able to log in during the stress tests, but this is exactly why they have the stress tests, to figure out problems with everyone trying to log in at once. But Blizzard said the stress test wasn't enough though, and will be holding another one on May 29th. And everyone who was invited for the last one is eligible for this one as well. And they're raising the level cap to 10, in order to test out more stuff. And now it's time for some miscellaneous things. Gnomes and Torrents will be getting smaller mounts based on what's on the PTR in the moment. It's kind of hard to see in the picture, but if you look real closely, you can see that the mount on the right is a little bit smaller than the one on the left. In a Blizzard interview, they suggested very lightly, almost as an afterthought, that players could return to Argus sometime in the future, but it wasn't a super serious statement. So, if you see people speculating about the return to Argus, just know it's almost baseless. There are currently no announced plans to do anything with Argus, but considering we've had 8 expansions of World of Warcraft and we have still yet to explore all of Azeroth, there could be potentially more things to do in Argus if they did decide to return to it. Undasta and Horadon will be tameable in patch 8.2. In order to tame Horadon, you're going to need the Ancient's Tome of Dinomancy, which drops off of trolls on the Isle of Giants. And to tame Undasta, you're going to have to fight people who are camping this world boss because it drops a mount. And since it's an exotic pet, you're going to need to be a beam hunter in order to attempt it. Players who didn't remove their gift of Inzoth started receiving constant whispers one day last week, which annoyed a lot of people. But since then, the whispers have been less frequent, and only really happen as you log on instead of happening constantly. So if these whispers bother you, you can just complete the quest to remove them. And now on to the weather with DevBot the Weatherbot. How's the weather out there?
If you bump into someone you haven't seen in 7 years, all of their cells have been replaced. Technically that makes them a completely different person, so you're not obligated to say hi.
That's true, DevBot. No need to say hi to anyone you meet on the street. Alright, and with that, I'll see you all next week.